if you are called privileged and you notice that you're in a position of privilege, don't you see that as an opportunity to be a better person and make a difference instead of just being offended 24/7 because people are calling you privileged? Nah, man.
Okay, let's start over here, guys. What's up and welcome to The Black Box here with Samuel Smiley. So this channel is being converted just a tiny bit. My whole focus has been to help, encourage, and inspire all of you, including myself, as we're on this journey of life. At the same time, as I am gaining more insight, more knowledge, getting more experience with many people, growing my wealth, growing as a person and evolving, I just felt the unction that I need to step it up a little bit more and actually speak on some truths and some painful topics that I probably would want to stay away from, but I'm not going to. The risks are way too high. So today, this show now is called The Black Box with Samuel Smiley, or Samuel Smiley on The Black Box. And so the entire intent of this show is to bring awareness to social taboo conversations that we are being told is now the new norm. Up is down, down is up, right is left, left is right, you name it. But we're also going to cover things that will help you get out of your own way from a financial standpoint to a self-limiting belief standpoint as well. We want to come across with everything so that you can get further after tuning in and be further a year from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. So today we're going to hit it off right away, talking about this word that we've all heard at this point, privilege. And this video at the beginning, I found this while preparing for this show today, and I was like, it was just on my mind. I was like, man, when did we start using this word almost as if a way to make excuse or become another way that we amplify the victim mentality world. So we're going to start this one over, and then I'm going to cut in and we'll check it out. So let's start this at the top and let's get into it.
There are different levels to this privilege thing, and in some way or another, we are all privileged. There's heterosexuality privilege, there's Christianity privilege. You see, we're all learning. But at the same time, if you are called privileged and you notice that you're in a position of privilege, don't you see that as an opportunity to be a better person and make a difference instead of just being offended 24/7 because people are calling you privileged? Nah, man.
Okay, so before we get into this next part, let's just think about what she just said there. Privilege, you shouldn't be triggered when someone calls you privileged. It's just there to kind of give you awareness. And if you're privileged, you should be a nicer person. Okay. Very vague terms here, very broad conversation. What I want to bring to your attention is that when you're in school, there are some kids who have both parents. There's some kids who didn't have a parent. Maybe a parent died. So you had poor kids, you had rich kids, you had, a spectrum. And when you're going through that, we call that life. Somebody may have a car sooner than you. Somebody may get to go to Disneyland and Disney World, and you're like, oh, I didn't get to do that. Life's not fair. So this word fair would probably be more accurate, but instead we've come into this place where we now call it privilege. And what does privilege do? Privilege is another way that we are able to separate, categorize people. And instead of life just being life, you're handed a deck of cards. It's not always great. I didn't come from money. I did have both parents. So in that way, oh man, I'm privileged. Sure. But that's just what happened. You have no control over that, because the problem when you use the word privilege in the way that they're using it and the way that we've been hearing it is that it all of a sudden puts this label that maybe you don't get to speak on something. Maybe you don't get to join in this piece of the conversation within the community because you're privileged. So we want to be careful and understand that life's not fair. And that's probably a better approach, in that if we are victims, we're victims of just living this life. Let's keep listening.
It's knowing where your next meal will come from. It's having two parents. Privilege is being able to legally marry the person that you love.
Privilege doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you haven't faced struggles. It isn't a competition or a scale of oppression. It means that there's a system in place which is allowing one social group to benefit or to reap benefits and rewards from something which is inaccessible to other social groups.
the argument continues. So it doesn't mean you're a bad person, blah, blah, blah. But there's always, see, if you keep following the sentence, there's always an agenda at the end. There's a system that is at play. Okay, that system that may be at play, there's systems within systems within systems within systems. Some people call it the matrix. The thing about this is this, guys. Many people in the 1950s had a very different life than the 1960s versus another group in the 1970s versus another group in the 90s, 2000s. From multiple layers of cultural backgrounds, religions, you name it. The point is, you either buy into this word, which then in a roundabout way brings you into the victim culture, which we'll talk about later, or you go, yeah, you know what? That's how life is. No one's against me. No one's trying to stop me. There's not a system that has my name written on it. Like, think about yourself and go, is there someone who has your name written on it who's going, okay, we need to stop him. We need to stop her. No. Majority of the time, it'll be your own reaction or response to the life you've been given that determines your outcome.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Now, that doesn't mean that you start at the same place of everyone else, but that has never been and it will never be. Even if we try to start every child off in the same way, we all have different personalities, we all have different wants, we all have different needs and desires. So no matter what, and no matter how people try to bring that into our society to make a perfect system, it won't work. Because life doesn't work that way. Life is not supposed to be that way. But what I will encourage you to do instead is to take ownership of where you're at. You can't go back. You can't change the past. But what you can do is, instead of saying, you know what, oh, well, you know, they're privileged to have that. No, it's like, oh, I'm glad they have that. Good for them. What do I have? How can I use what I have to go forward and get what I want out of this life? You got one life. Don't waste it looking for all the excuses as to why you're not where you want to be. Instead, look around and find great examples and great people who got the outcome out of this life that you want and try to achieve that instead. We don't have to watch the rest of this video, but I will tag it in the bottom of this, in the description for you to check out on your own. But I do want you to just ponder this. Am I privileged? Sure, in some way, but am I going to allow that is that my identity? Am I going to allow that to tell me, oh, well, you know, I can't speak on this subject, or, oh, I need to go out of my way to do this, that, and the other. Oh, I need to identify this way. No, just take the cards you've been dealt, live your life, and don't make any excuses, guys, because no one's going to make any for you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you don't want to miss anything in the future, definitely hit the bell, like, and subscribe. We'll see you next time on The Black Box. God bless.